It's time someone judges each hero in the Invincible comics based on their looks and not their personality, or more specifically, the costumes they wear when they go out to be like Phoenix Jones. Now I'm not gonna say I have a degree in fashion or even the slightest bit of taste in fashion, after all I look like this in real life, but I will say that I do happen to have an opinion, which gives me an excuse to be an asshole. So let's take the next 20 to 30 minutes of our time to see who we can on the most for their appearance. Now of course we could just go off the rails for this tier list and include everything and anything under the sun, but let's not do that and instead operate on some ground rules. Rule number 1, we're only going to be looking at the comics for this tier list, mostly because every single costume on this tier list looks their absolute best in the comics, so when I shamelessly glaze them it won't be without good reason. Rule number 2, any and all characters in this tier list are from and or related to the Global Defense Agency only. Now before you get your knickers in a twist and click off this video, just hear me out for the next 10 seconds. I'm only doing this because it allows me to save for time when it comes to editing this video. Also, I just prefer superheroes over aliens. Sorry not sorry. And lastly, rule number 3, we'll be going over each costume the superheroes have worn during the entire run of the comics. So yes, I'll be going over Mark and his Link-styled space outfit, as well as the other miscellaneous side costumes for both him and other superheroes. Hopefully that makes up for me not going over Alan the Alien. And if it doesn't, then you might as well book a hotel room and sit in this chair throughout the remainder of the video, because you're going to feel the same emotional turmoil as this guy when watching it. Also, just to be clear, this entire tier list is in my opinion. I also use this side as a reference to find each hero on this list. Now with all that said, let's just get right into the rankings, starting with the main character himself. Now I'm not gonna lie here, I don't think the classic suit is that good, at least when you have options. I mean, don't get me wrong, the suit itself is utterly iconic in both its design and color scheme, but when it's compared to other suits, it just feels like it's too simple. The design is too formulaic, and while it does do something interesting with the logo, that's where the interesting ideas stop. Look at Spider-Man's suit for example. The suit isn't just a simple costume with a red and blue pattern, but instead a work of art that takes the simple red and blue pattern and does something interesting with it, drawing a complex web pattern that would take hours upon hours to fully get down. That same web pattern fully circulating around the head, upper body, arms, and legs, something that is either completely non-existent or very minimal at best when looking at Invincible's classic suit. And when we look at Mark's other suits, this problem will become more apparent later. But as for right now, this suit gets to be at the bottom of C tier. And while we're still on the topic of Spider-Man, let's just put his suit in S tier. Not just because of everything I said about him earlier, but also because out of these three, he's my favorite superhero. Getting back to Mark, both his homemade suit and his bulletproof suit are gonna go straight into D tier because of how laughably trash they are. The only saving grace of these two suits is that the glove concept for the homemade version became a staple for future Invincible suits, and the other one later became the main suit for a diversity hire. Wait, what? He actually got in on merit? Well, I'll be damned, and here I thought someone's executive order was for a reason. Of course, I am gonna have to give this version of the classic suit a C tier ranking, considering how the only two things that changed was this logo and no knee pads. As for Mark's space outfits, this one is definitely getting F tier for the sole reason that it has this suit's problems multiplied by 10, being basic as hell with the only cool design being the blue on the top connecting to the cape, which is just bare minimum if you want your hero to look like a hero. Although I will admit, these suits are gonna have to get a solid B tier since they all succeed at letting Mark aura farm without getting his ass kicked. Especially this one, which is why it's going to be the highest one out of the three. Saving the best for last, we have Mark's blue suit, which is automatically going into S tier, and I mean come on, can you even blame me? Being a simple muscle suit that doesn't try to reinvent the wheel of being iconic, but embracing its own simplicity, playing to that strength by having a strong color scheme and a good placement of seams, removing the fingerless gloves and the knee pads, design choices that only work for little kids. And don't even get me started on the level of storytelling that the suit has, showcasing one of the darker storylines of the entire comic, letting you feel the weight and impact Mark's actions had over the last two compendiums, letting you see his mental state gradually deteriorate along with his ideals being tested and shattered, those same ideals being the exact reason he broke it off with Cecil in the first place and getting this suit to begin with him by the end of the blue suit arc questioning whether or not his principles are truly Of course, I could keep glazing the suit for the next minute or two, but instead I think I'll direct you to Roscoe's video on it, as that does the glazing a lot more justice than here. Although I will admit, the TV show's blue suit is absolute trash, and made me so disappointed that I stared into the invisible camera like this. Don't get me wrong, I like 90% of the suit. The composition is accurate, the color scheme is good for the themes brought up in the show, and the way it's introduced is practically identical to the comics. The only thing I dislike, and I mentioned it in a previous video, is the gloves. They just don't fit in with the rest of the costume, and throw off any semblance of style this suit had. I mean, just look at both suits side by side, and tell me with a face straighter than this that the TV show is better. Also, before I forget, this suit is getting D tier. Now as for the evil Invincibles, I'll rank them in various groups in order to save time, starting with the Viltrumite group, which is automatically going into F tier, mostly because I just don't like suits that use the color white as the main appeal, especially when it encompasses like 90% of the suit. I think the only exception to this rule is the White Lantern Corps. Also, it doesn't help that only one of these marks actually looks decent in terms of design, as the other looks like he just survived what Deadpool has, and don't even get me started on this guy's mustache. Overall, these suits just look bad to me, and I cringe slightly whenever I see them, which is exactly why I'm also going to place Nolan's Viltrumite suit here as well. I'm gonna put all 6 of these marks in D tier though, mostly because they're just carbon copies of the original with some new stuff thrown in. And let me tell you, that new stuff only works for one of them, more specifically this one, as it actually does something interesting with the color scheme and the design of the suit, utilizing the black and blue in a way that completely outshines the classic suit, and removing the knee pads and some of the fingerless parts of the gloves. Funnily enough, that little design aspect is the only problem I have with the suit, as it's not much of a screw up as the TV show's blue suit, so I'll tolerate it for the time being. So while those other suits are getting a D tier ranking, this one will get a solid A tier ranking. Even though Mark's original blue suit is goated, that doesn't mean every version of it is, which is exactly why I'm going to rank them in D tier, specifically these two. I mean, come on, look at this shit. I don't know if it's because I'm so used to seeing his hair through the top of his mask, or because it just looks unnatural, but this mask makes Mark's head look like one of those bobblehead toys. Yeah, it has the same qualities as the OG blue suit, but that doesn't change the fact that it's unbearable to look him in the face. These two get a major pass from the verbal beating, so instead I'll give this one a C and the other a B, for obvious reasons. As for Sinister and Omni-Man, I think we can all agree that these two deserve A tier treatment. I mean, just look at them. Now see, I'm not gay or Adam Eve, but if I was, you already know I'd be looking at them like this.
Bro, what did you just say?
I just said bust what on my face?
Nah, bro, that's still gay.
No,
You're gay. He's gay.
I'm not gay.
He's gay.
By the way, this suit is going into that F tier. Alright, now we got the man who not only brutalized his son, but also had the audacity to say that he misses his wife after he had a child with another woman. Since we already got his Viltrumite suit out of the way, we can just skip to the next suit, which I'm already gonna give a solid B ranking, mostly due to how simple the costume is. I mean, come on, add some depth here, people. It's not like whatever detail you add to the suit is gonna overshadow that chiseled mustache of his, and those meat-grinding biceps. Wait, hold up, you weren't supposed to see that part. Let's just rewind a bit to what I was supposed to say. It's not like whatever detail you were gonna add to this suit was gonna overshadow his signature mustache. Of course, this isn't the only look of his that's getting B tier, as his Viltrum Emperor fit is also gonna get that treatment. And yes, it's because I'm a sucker for eye patch characters. Also, the handlebar mustache suits him a lot more than it should. The Coalition suit is going right besides Mark in F tier because I said so, and the Bug Emperor suit is gonna have to be in D tier solely because of that one scene. It's finally time to rank the looks of a child. Okay, so my lawyer has told me that I shouldn't have said that, and instead should have said, it's time to rank how good all of Oliver's suits looked. So for the sake of my freedom, let's just pretend that I did. Kid Omni-Man's suit is already decent in terms of color scheme and design, but since he's a kid and they can be super annoying, then we'll rank him a very low 3, which in this case ends up translating to C tier. As for his teen Omni-Man look, I think we can all agree that Oliver looked his best here. The long hair that faintly matches with the red mask, the black and red symbolizing how even though he's good, the suit is just a red herring to disguise a kid who cares nothing for human life, the symbol mask perfectly contrasting his brother, and the overall design being a practically darker version of his father's, fully embracing Nolan's legacy in a way that Mark never could. The suit is absolutely great, which is exactly why I'll be putting it in A tier, unlike this suit, which will be in the same tier as the other two Coalition suits. Alright, now let's move on to the first female Invincible known as Terra. Her costume features a more grid-like pattern for the logo on the suit, and instead of having the iconic mask design, she uses some yellow tinted shades. That too, and so for all of this, I think C tier is fair, specifically middle to high C tier. While I don't really like the logo for the eye on the suit, it has some features that I can at least put up with. And no, I'm not talking about her legs. Instead, I was thinking about how this video is sponsored by my Patreon, which is only $3 by the way. A Patreon where you get full access to my work in progress updates, a full video archive featuring all my videos up to this one, your name getting placed on those clean end credits, and 2-minute early access to my videos the day before they come out. So what are you waiting for? Go to the link down below and check it out. And even subscribe if you have enough money to waste. I mean, that money's better off here than going to your costume materials for Comic-Con. And speaking of costumes, This kid Marky arguably has the second best costume out of everyone I mentioned up until now. Like, everything here is perfect. The color scheme being vibrant and full of life, the black segmenting the blue and yellow parts of the suit, not letting one overcrowd the other, the fingerless gloves and knee pads actually making sense this time around since he's a literal kid. The overall design and composition of the suit is practically perfect. So whoever designed this version of the costume, wait until I'm 21 and go to your local bar. I'll buy you a beer. Also, the suit is S tier.